How's it going, everybody? This is Seer here, and today we are discussing the new War Team Liberty. Now, this team here has war callouts baked into the kit. It doesn't specifically say war offense or defense. However, when I was scrolling through this, I saw a lot of things that called out the exhaust mechanics, so I am worried this is going to be more of a war defense team. What I did is I broke down anything that actually said war in it, so we can try to remove that from the kit. See, is this team going to be something we can actually use in other game modes such as Cosmic Crucible, maybe some legendary events, powers, stuff like that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this Liberty team and see if they're going to be worth investing in, even if you're not a war player that really enjoys war and you're more of a Crucible player like myself. So for Liberty, let freedom ring on helicarrier decks with patriotic new team Liberty. Nick Fury is calling on the expertise of Captain America Sam and War Machine to lead strike newbies Peggy Carter, Patriot, and Falcon Joaquin on their mission to dominate Alliance War battles, both on offense and defense. Like I said, I think we're going to see this more on defense personally. With some serious upgrades to War Machine and Captain America Sam, Liberty is absolutely poised to take down big names in Alliance War. So right here, I am hoping that means that people are going to use it more on offense because they might be able to take out some of these bigger teams, maybe some Mephisto teams, hopefully like an Odin team or two. I don't think they're going to have direct counters to it. It might be like a soft counter to those. So here's your briefing on the new recruits and the updates to Liberty's veterans. So Peggy Carter, this is actually going to be the Dryad look. And what I'm going to start doing in these videos, I'm going to start putting the PDFs right up here so you can actually see what these images look like. It's the PNGs, not the PDFs. That we can actually see what these characters look like and we can kind of envision how this team's going to look together. So Peggy Carter rose to prominence during World War II as a key member of the Strategic Scientific Reserve, fighting alongside Captain America and spearheading critical missions against Hydra. Known for her sharp intellect, fearless combat skills, and unwavering dedication, Peggy became a symbol of strength and resilience on and off the battlefield. Even after the war, she continued her fight for justice, shaping the future of global espionage and proving that one woman could change the course of history. Peggy is a controller for the Liberty team. She features high focus and damage to sabotage the enemy's plans. Like a proper spy, Peggy manipulates the battlefield using negative effects like slow, stun, and ability block to dictate enemy attacks. Her passive is particularly powerful. In war, she denies enemies from gaining slow. She applies taunts to every target she attacks. That's very powerful. She also deals more damage to targets with slow, but her big attack happens at the end of any Liberty ally turn. If she does not have 2 or more exhausted, where she attacks the most injured enemy for piercing before applying slow and heal block. So that's what I was talking about, how it says to exhaust. That's telling me this team's going to be a monster to try to take out on defense. We're going to have to try to do those 2 burn attacks into them. So Peggy is a hero global controller. She's a skill and Liberty tech. She has a speed of 125, and her basic attack hits for 300% damage. It applies slow, copy and clear 3 random positive effects, excluding taunt from the primary target to self. The ISO attack is also going to be doing the applying slow, copy and clear 3 random positive effects. I can see her being a striker for that, trying to peel off all those positive effects, kind of like what we did with Silver Surfer back in the day. It was a very powerful mechanic. For the special, this is going to be a turn 1 ability, Sunfire Bolt. It's a 4/4, clear immunity from the primary and adjacent, attack the primary and adjacent for 350% damage, apply slow for 2 turns, that's even more slow that she dishes out. A turn 1 stun is very powerful. It's going to be unavoidable as well, which is even more powerful. And if there's 3 or more Liberty allies, it cannot be blocked, which means if there's deflect on them, they're not going to block it still, and you're going to get that stun on there. The ultimate, also in war, apply trauma for 2 turns to the primary target. So this was talking about how I kind of broke out the kit so we can kind of see how this character is going to be in war and outside of war. For the ultimate, this is going to be turn 2. It's a 4/6 crossfire. Clear all barrier from all enemies. Right off the bat, that's saying that's going to be something we might be able to use against Null, hopefully. Attack all enemies for 400% damage. Apply slow again for 2 turns. +1 vulnerable up to a maximum of 5. And that's to all enemies. It's going to do ability block for 2 turns to the primary. And in war, if there's 3 or more Liberty allies, apply trauma for 2 turns to all enemies. Since it's 3 or more, that means probably War Machine is going to get benched, would be my guess. Because Captain America Sam, he was a monster before. I don't think we're going to ditch Captain Sam, so it might be War Machine that might get benched. Maybe add in like a Mephisto, Odin, something of that sort. Or even Ares actually could be maybe a interesting plugin. Or the passive Dryad. At the end of any Liberty ally turn, if this character does not have 2 or more exhaust, attack the most injured enemy for 100% piercing. In war, it's going to do 250% piercing instead. I believe that's around the same baseline that Omega Sentinel hits for in raids, as opposed to in war. Out of turn damage, it's amazing. Apply slow and heal block to that enemy. Enemies with taunt take an additional 10% damage. Now in war, enemies with slow cannot gain speed up. On a successful hit by this character, apply taunt to each attacked target. So that should mean when she does the out of turn damage, she might be applying taunt in each of those attacks as well. If this character has 3 or more Liberty allies, enemy characters with slow cannot fill speed bar for themselves or allies. This is not applied to speed bar gained through normal means. So yeah, I'm seeing war defense as far as out of war context, out of turn damage, and she's going to be doing slow and heal block because this is not in war on here. The only war portion was the extra damage. Enemies with taunt take an additional damage. That's going to be everywhere. That can have some use. A turn 1 stun that's unavoidable, and a turn 2 where it's going to clear barrier, attack everybody, dish out slows, vulnerables, and a ability block. Copying, clearing positive effects. I do see some plug and play use for her, especially maybe in Cosmic Crucible, depending on how the other team members are going to be. 125 speed, it's not the fastest, but it's not slow. 125 is a good baseline speed, I think. Now for Falcon Joaquin, a resourceful Air Force officer, Joaquin Torres was crucial in aiding Sam Wilson during the fight against the Flag Smashers anarchist group. After Sam became the new Captain America, Joaquin inherited the mantle of Falcon, taking up the iconic wings and advanced tech. Falcon Joaquin is the air support for Liberty and possesses high health and armor to help keep the fight and aiding his allies. In war, his passive ability is the key to victory. On spawn in war, he applies taunt to all enemies for 2 turns. Because there's the taunt she's going to be doing, they take an additional 10% damage, not just from her, just all enemies take an additional damage. That's huge. Allowing his allies to utilize their taunt punishing abilities. Falcon's kit denies enemies with taunt of gaining immunity in war and deals additional damage to those with taunt. So remember, in war right here, anytime Peggy ends up hitting somebody with a successful attack, they get taunt, which means they don't get immunity. They take additional damage. That's pretty nasty. On top of the taunt mechanic, Falcon Joaquin dishes out solid heals with this special and ultimate, along with filling Liberty's allies' speed bars on any turn by an enemy with taunt. That's pretty interesting. And right off the bat, I see 130 speed. That is ridiculous speed for this guy. He's a hero global tech support Liberty. Let's see what his kit is. So basic is Red Wing Assault, attack primary target for 250% damage, and apply speed up to self and all Liberty allies. So his basic attack is doing a speed up. His ISO attack also does a speed up to self and all Liberty allies. I don't know if we need Striker because it just says it apply speed up. It's not a +1 speed up. So let's see what else his kit ends up doing. Special Brave Bird Dive Bomb. So energy cost 4 force. This is turn 1. Flip all negative effects to positive effects on self and all Liberty allies. Attack primary and adjacent for 350% damage. It's not piercing, thankfully. Heal self and all Liberty allies for 15% of this character's max health. That's pretty good heal, especially with new stats. In war, reduce the speed bar by 50% on the primary, apply Safeguard for 2 turns to self and all Liberty allies, and it's going to be unavoidable. So Safeguard is only going to be in war, so that's something we're going to have to keep in a mind, in the back of our mind for other game modes. Ultimate Raptor Strikes, energy cost 4/6. This is turn 2. Heal self and all Liberty allies for 25% of this character's max health. In war, generate 2 ability energy for self and all Liberty allies. That's you're gonna do a special ultimate, then 2 turns later, another special. And this reduces speed bar, keeps the Safeguard going. That's a nasty, powerful combination. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 190% damage. Apply +1 vulnerable up to a maximum of 5. Plus reduce the speed bar by 25%. So he does a 50% and a 25% turn meter rewind. Passive Air Traffic Control. The first time an enemy takes a turn, apply defense up for 1 turn, speed up for 1 turn, and immunity for 2 turns to self and all Liberty allies. This is everywhere. So Peggy being 125 speed gets speed up once the enemy takes their turn. So another 50% of 125 is 62, 63. So that's going to be about a 188 speed for Peggy. And this guy is 130 speed, so that's going to be another 65, so 195 speed. Basically, because of when the enemy takes the turn. That's pretty fast. An enemy with taunt turn, if this character has 4 or more Liberty allies, build speed bar by 5% for self and all Liberty allies. So that's what they're trying to do here, is make it so that we're not subbing out like War Machine, like what we talked about for Peggy Carter. Because if you end up saying taking War Machine out, putting, say, Ares in here, they're not going to be getting that full speed bar by 5% anytime enemy takes a turn, because they're going to be getting taunts from those retaliates, basically, it sounds like, from Peggy Carter. Enemies with taunt take an additional 10% damage. So that's 20% damage, because Peggy has that as well. Enemies with taunt take an additional 10% damage. So that stacks. That's 20% extra damage if they end up having taunt on them. That's pretty crazy. In war on spawn, apply taunt for 2 turns to all enemies. Gain plus 5% extra focus for this action. Hang on. So in war, he spawns in. Everybody gets taunt for 2 turns on the other side. As they're taking their turns, this whole team keeps getting their speed bar filled by 5%, and they're going to have speed up once the enemy takes their first turn. This team is going to fly. Holy cow. We'll do off of this character, 130 speed. He's going to be getting 50% speed once the enemy takes a turn because of the speed up. That's going to be an extra 65 speed. Plus 25% speed. So 130, that's another 32.5 speed. Plus speed up for another 50% was another 65 speed. That's 227 speed. And that's not even counting the 5% for the speed bar getting filled up. And there's no exhaust mechanic tied behind this. Enemies cannot fill speed bar for themselves, allies, or enemies until this character takes a turn. That shuts down Super Scroll as well. So Mephisto, he gets his speed is, I think his speed itself is increased. So he gets that first turn. It's not filling speed bars. So it's not going to shut down the Mephisto portion there. Enemies with taunt cannot gain immunity as well. This is going to be a problem. Crazy. All right, let's take a look at Patriot to see what else this team can do. Eli Bradley, grandson of the super soldier Isaiah Bradley, initially fought crime as a vigilante without any superhuman abilities, relying on his courage and tactical skills. After a life-threatening injury, Eli received a blood transfusion from his grandfather, which granted him enhanced strength, agility, endurance, similar to the original Super Soldier Serum. With his newfound powers and his grandfather's shield in hand, Eli embraced his role as Patriot, honoring his family's legacy while forging his own path as a hero in the fight for justice. Patriot's a really cool character, by the way. Patriot's a bruising brawler for Liberty with damage and focus stats to ensure his attacks land solid on the kisser for enemies. On top of heavy attacks, Patriot applies a slew of various negative effects like ability block, stun, and trauma in war. Patriot feeds his Liberty team's taunt mechanics by applying taunt on enemies' turn. Jeez, more taunt. For any enemy with taunt, he lowers their dodge chance by 100%, and that enemy incurs an additional 10% damage when attacked. So that's what, 30% damage if they have taunt on them. Traits: Hero Global Bio Brawler Liberty, speed of 121. So he's pretty slow at 121. Kind of crazy saying 121 is slow when 120 used to be like the baseline of a good character back in the day. Basic Patriotic Punch. Attack primary target for 350% damage plus supply 2 bleed. The ISO attack, it does an additional 2 bleed. So I don't see Striker. And for Joaquin, by the way, probably healer. He has a lot of heal. Keep that sustain going. So that's what ISO I'm going to end up using for him most likely. Special American Rush. Energy cost 4/4, so it's turn 1. Attack all enemies for 250% piercing plus 25% additional damage for each positive and each negative effect on this character. Plus, apply defense down for 2 turns. We finally got a defense down. I was waiting for somebody to get a defense down because of the damage they're taking from those taunts. Heal self and all Liberty allies for 10% of this character's max health. So he even has a heal. In war, it gives 100% crit chance against enemies with taunt. That doesn't seem too impactful to where I'm going to miss that outside of this game mode. Ultimate Star Spangled Slam. Energy cost 3/5, so turn 2. Clear barrier on all enemies. Actually, this could be turn 1 because of how the speed mechanic works for Joaquin as well. Clear all barrier on all enemies. So that's another barrier clear. Null call out possibly. Apply offense up to self and all Liberty allies. So defense down on turn 1, offense up on turn 2. Clear death proof on primary and adjacent targets. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 300% piercing. So all of his attacks are piercing. His basic, his special and his ultimate is piercing damage. Apply 2 bleed. In war on kill, fill speed bar for self by 75%. That's very impactful based on how this team gets their speed anyways. This attack gains 100% crit chance against targets with taunt, and it cannot be blocked. That's pretty powerful as well. So I'm looking at Raider, because if he does this much piercing damage, especially based on positive and negative effects, that's just going to destroy people. This one here is piercing damage. It already has crit chance, so it's going to be additional crit damage as well. I'm thinking Raider for him. Passive, red, white, and blue. Unsuccessful attack by this character or any Liberty ally, flip 1 negative effect to a positive effect on self and all Liberty allies. That is everywhere. I'm really liking this team outside of war, honestly. I wasn't expecting that. I can definitely see them being a monster in war defense. I could see them being a monster in Cosmic Crucible defense ready. On enemy turn, apply 1 taunt, plus 1 taunt, up to a maximum of 3 to that enemy. Because all these taunts that's being pushed out there means if somebody tries taking a team into here, it's going to be a lot of RNG to where somebody gets a taunt, then they're going to get tunneled down. So pre-taunt is not going to stop them from going into this team. I like it. Until this character completes a turn, this character and all Liberty allies gain 5,000% focus. And considering he's the slowest member at 121, all those turn 1 abilities are going to be landing for 5,000% focus. And that's everywhere. Enemies with taunt will lower dodge chance by 100% and taking an additional 10% damage. So if they have taunts, they're taking 30% damage, and that's good everywhere. Very, very good. In war, the damage of this character and Liberty allies can only be reduced by offense down. What that means is when you get exhausted, your stats get lowered. I'm pretty sure that means that their damage isn't going to get lowered as well. Or damage reduction characters, that's not going to work either. I need to see if the exhaust is going to count, because that actually reduces stats. But there's a damage stat, so that's why I think they're going to ignore the damage being reduced from the exhaust mechanics. If so, that's nasty. If this character has 4 or more Liberty allies, lower the max barrier of all enemies by 20%. So max barrier is typically 30%, unless otherwise specified. Like, I think Morgan and Agatha on the Darkhold team, they were able to boost their barrier up by an additional, I think 20 or 30% it was. So this is lowering the max to basically 10% barrier. And 2 characters have clear barrier from everybody, and Peggy and Patriot here. So pretty powerful. Enemies with taunt cannot gain stealth either. So how Sasquatch, for instance, he gets taunt, he basically can drop taunt type of thing, go into stealth. If he has safeguard, he's not dropping the taunt, which means he's not gaining that stealth either. War Machine updates base stat increase health by 700%. That just shows how old this character actually was. Damage plus 345%. Armor plus 208%. Focus plus 410%. Resist plus 295%. He was just a very old character. Alright, so the basic is Railgun. The new is going to be attacking primary and adjacent for 250% damage, plus apply offense down to the primary target. The special is Missile System. If this character has 4 or more Liberty allies, flip defense up, deflect, and regeneration on the primary and adjacent. Attack primary and adjacent for 120% piercing, and repeat it 3 times. So that's going to be 480% piercing damage, essentially, to the primary and adjacent. The good thing about repeating is if there's any death proofs, it's just going to start knocking those death proofs off. Ultimate is Cluster Bombs. Clear all barrier on all enemies. Attack. So that's another barrier clear for you guys. Attack all enemies for 460% damage. This attack cannot miss and cannot be blocked. The passive, integrated targeting. When an enemy drops below 50% or 25% health, apply taunt to that target. This cannot be dodged or blocked. On spawn, apply +2 death proof to self and all Liberty allies, and apply +2 death proofs to Iron Man. So that ended up staying the same. So for his kit, I wish this one was piercing damage or some higher damage form. War Machine doesn't really wow me. I'll probably still build him up. I want to see how this team performs together, and if we need the full team, or if that could be something where we could take War Machine out and ignore that filling speed bar by 5% that Patriot, or I think it was Joaquin, gives to the team. So I do want to kind of test that out a little bit. Captain America Sam updates. Here we go. Health plus 300% health, 225% damage, 191 armor, 236 focus, 144 resistance. Special. So the special is being updated. Stars and Stripes. It's going to be doing speed up to self and all Liberty, Avenger, and skill allies now. It's also going to be generating 1 ability energy for 2 random non-summoned allies, and then 1 ability energy for 2 to 3 random non-summoned Liberty allies. So remember, this could end up stacking to where somebody could get +2 ability energy because of the overlap on here. He's also going to be getting an assist from a random non-summoned skill ally, which there's a lot of skill on this team. Ultimate is Freedom Flight. Attack all for 450% damage. The update, here we go. Fill speed bar by 10% for self and all Liberty and skill allies, plus fill speed bar by 5% for all other allies. So this is one where he does the flyby. However, enemies are surviving after the flyby, then the speed bar gets filled up. So if he ends up killing people on it, it's not the end of the world, because it just means that this team basically winning. Passive Captain's Legacy. On spawn, gain 2 deflect and apply +1 deflect up to maximum of 5 to self and all Liberty and skill allies. At the end of any turn. If this character has taunt and does not have deflect, clear taunt, that kind of keeps them survived. When this character drops below 50% health, if this character does not have 2 or more exhaust, that's another exhaust mechanic. Clear taunt from self, apply 2 deflect, 2 deathproof, and defense up for 2 turns to self and all Liberty allies. This right here is like Ms. Marvel Classic, where it doesn't say the first time. So because of Falcon Joaquin being able to heal this character up, and Patriot Special can heal as well, you can bounce above and below that 50% health barrier, making it to where he keeps clearing taunt. He applies the deflect deathproof defense up for 2 turns. You get him back under, he heals back up, and he's going to be bouncing around. We might want to make him a healer because of that, because he's going to have a lot of health. So on his turn, he's going to heal up above that 50% range. Or we might want to use Fortifier, making it to where he has Drain. So I'm thinking healer or Fortifier for Captain Sam. And while this character has deflect, he's going to be gaining 300% resistance, plus 25% block chance, 20% block amount. The raid thing's just saying there. They didn't remove that. So yeah, this team is going to be insane. Let me know your guys' thoughts. I can't wait to do testing on this. This right here is probably going to be a top 3 team in Alliance War. The only ones rivaling this would be the Undying team and Absolute A-Force, and then this. I really want to see the order for who's going to be the apex on this. Outside of Alliance War, I could see this team being a good pain in Cosmic Crucible. This is going to be pretty interesting. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. And if you guys do like the change to the video to where I kind of broke out the kit like this, and I started putting the PNGs of what these characters look like, so you can kind of have a nice visual representation of these characters. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day, everybody.